Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, today I'm going to be drying the marshmallow root that we dug up the other day. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link to it right up here. And this is the first time I've actually dug up any of my marshmallow root. I've been using the leaves and the flowers in a lot of things, from teas and even in my homemade cough, cold, and flu medicine, and you know, elderberry syrup. I use it in soap because it's really good for your skin. Because the leaves have just about as many benefits to them as the roots do. But though I haven't found anything really conclusive, marshmallow root is the one we hear the most about. So my assumption is going to be that the root is a little more powerful in its medicinal benefits. Now, the interesting thing about this is that, you know, I do also, by the way, have a video out on the benefits of marshmallow root, or marshmallow in general, and I'll go ahead and link to that right up here. I believe I did that one last summer. And this is, I soaked it for a little while in homemade vinegar and water, but in the process, this, I wish you could feel this, it's a very gelatinous, can you see that? It's very gelatinous and just gooey. And that is why marshmallows that we eat are called marshmallows, because originally they were made from the root. That is what gives it its gelatinous property and helps it to set up. And I've actually made marshmallows, homemade marshmallows, and I tell you, they are so good from marshmallow root. But it was the mountain rose marshmallow root. So if you're interested in that, check out Mountain Rose Herbs for a good batch of marshmallow root. And that's what you'll see right here in this jar. So this is the first marshmallow from my own plants as far as the roots go. And so I'm really excited to get into this. Now, I would guess a lot of people would peel this. I'm not going to bother, especially with these little pieces like this. I'm going to do this the same way that I do my dandelion root. And I did a video on that last year, harvesting and dehydrating dandelion root. Soaked it in the vinegar and water and rinsed it off. And I'm just going to chop it up with the skins on, because I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff in the skin. And even the dirt is good for you, because we live in a society where we're too clean. And what's happening is, one of the reasons we're deficient in certain enzymes and minerals is that we are too clean. We don't get our hands in the dirt, and we wash our vegetables just a little bit too much, because like fulvic acid, for instance, is just a really great enzyme that is so beneficial, and that is found in your soils. And you get that, instead of having to take a fulvic acid supplement, you can get that by simply growing your own fruits and vegetables, especially root veggies and things, and not being so super clean with your vegetables, and get your bare hands in the dirt. Yes, your hands will get garden stains on them. That superfluous amounts of bleach and Comet won't clean off, but those things are bad for you anyway. I would rather have the natural dirt embedded into my skin with all its great enzymes and stuff in there that are good to me. And plus, you know what? A lot of those enzymes help release the endorphins and gives you that feeling of happiness. That's why gardening makes us happy. I just think it's an awesome gift that God gave us. He told us to work the ground, but in that He also gave us that benefit of this wonderful enzyme, or enzymes plural, that makes us happy when we are handling it. So all I'm going to do is just start chopping this up, and then I'm going to put it on my baking sheet here, and then I'll show you what I do next. So from this point on, I'm just going to go ahead and speed the process up. Alright, so I'm in here at the wood stove, and here's the marshmallow root I have chopped up so far, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it dry, get really good and dry. I got to come in and keep checking it and stir it around, because the fire's pretty hot today. What I did find is, you know, unlike the dandelion root, it was easier to just lay 2 or 3 strips at a time and chop them when it came to the little ones. And then the bigger ones, just chop them individually, because trying to do too much at once, you got pieces, because it's so slippery, it would slide around, and then my knife just couldn't catch it all, and then it would, yeah, it just wasn't working. And this is how I dehydrate things this time of year. Now, today is actually a super nice day, and we're getting lots of solar power. Our battery bank is charged up, so I could easily run my electric dehydrator. However, since I have a good hot fire going, why would I want to put wear and tear on my electric dehydrator when I can just do it right here on my wood stove? So what I have here is I have a trivet on top of a metal plant holder stand, and that's what's holding it up because Mr. Rain is using my dehydrator racks here to dry some wood for some projects. I think he's going to be making, he's got some maple here that he's drying out, and I think he's going to be making another noodle board to actually put up on our Etsy store. So, and just so you know, the noodle board that he made in the video wasn't actually for me, it was actually a special order. And so now we're getting lots of interest, so he might be seeing more of those from us. Anyway, so once I get this all dry, I'll probably bring you back in here as it gets closer to being done so you can see what it looks like. But you just, if you're doing it this way, you do want to make sure, if it's on your wood stove, that you just keep stirring it around and maybe even turn your pan occasionally. This is sitting high enough off of my wood stove. I'm not too concerned about it burning. But yes, you want to keep a good eye on it. Unlike when you throw it in your dehydrator, you can just turn it on and pretty much forget about it. So, all right, well, I'll be back when this is done drying. Now, since I'm really new to working with marshmallow root, I had assumed this would be very much like dandelion root in preparing it. And it is similar, but the slimy texture just makes it much harder for trying to chop up a whole bunch at a time. And it's just not quite drying the same way. I really want it kind of small. It doesn't have to be perfectly tiny, but I want it small enough that I can use it in tea and then use it for making marshmallows. So here's what I did. This is the tray I had dehydrating on the wood stove. I went ahead after I let it dry. They're mostly dry right now. Then I took them and processed them in my blender and finally got them at a decent size. And now I'm going to go put it back on the wood stove and let them finish drying up. Here is the new tray that I'm making up, and I'm going ahead and processing some of it in the blender now just to kind of give me a head start. I'm trying to figure out which way is easiest. It seems like it's actually easiest to process it in the blender after it dries a little bit because it's not as messy. However, either way, I'm going to show you how much I'm putting in there at a time. I might as well finish chopping up this really big chunk here. And so that's about all you want to put in there at a time. Just like that. Because it's going to process up best that way. And then it should look like that. But now keep in mind that when it's wet like this, it's just, again, it's going to be a little slimy in there. And so getting it out is going to be a little more difficult. So I guess if you're going to be doing this, I'm going to keep kind of experimenting with it and find the easiest way, and maybe do an update video down the road if I dig up any more of this. That's how it looks. I still have some chunks in there that could probably be a little smaller. But when the other tray is done drying, I'm going to put this one on too. So I'm going to go ahead and process up a few more and put them on there. And it does seem like letting them dry a little bit first and then processing them is a little bit easier. But we'll see how this works out like this. Anyway, so I'll be back whenever. I don't know what the next step will be because I'm kind of making this up as I go. So I'll be back in a bit. Alright, so my marshmallow root is all dried and it's just, it's actually still warm. However, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I do next. Even though what you want to do is wait until these are completely cooled off, I have so many more projects I got to get done, so I need to get this equipment out of my way. Such as doing my dishes, making dinner, and then I got to make some more jet fueled latte blend, and I got to blend up, process up these eggshells because my basket is very full. And these ones this time are going to go in my greenhouse where I plant my tomatoes. So I have plenty of ground up for making supplements out of for us. So that's what I'm going to do with these. So anyway, what you want to do is after these are all cooled off is go ahead and just store them in whatever size jar. I'm predicting that once I get all this done and process, because I have my other tray on the wood stove right now, and then I still have more here to cut up and dehydrate, which I'll finish out tomorrow. I think I will be able to fill up this quart jar pretty good. You can go ahead and put them in the jar where they're still warm. I suggest waiting until they're cool, but this is a step you definitely want to wait. You leave a lid off, and if they're still warm when you put them in here, don't put a lid on until they're completely cooled off. Because then what you're going to want to do, and I'm going to take this apart once I'm done so these can finish cooling, is, and some of you have seen me do this before, this is a food saver top. I link to these all the time. I show this step quite a bit because it is my very favorite way to seal up dried ingredients. I do this with nuts. Whenever I get a new bag of pecans or cashews or almonds, I put them in jars like this and then seal them up, and then just work on one jar at a time. And so you get a brake bleeder. I do have a food saver, but I like this better for sealing the jars than the food saver, because not only is it manual and doesn't require any electricity, it just seems to work better. So I just take the tip. You don't have to buy an accessory hose. If you already have a food saver accessory hose, fine, but you don't need that. That's actually not going to fit on here. Use the equipment that came with the brake bleeder and just stick the tip on the end. That will fit down into that hole, but it won't snap into place like your food saver one will, so you have to hold it. And then you're going to pump this up to PSI 15, which is going to be pretty much due north on this thing. And what you'll find is some things will take longer to pump up that far than others. It just depends on how much airspace is left. This is taking a while because I have a lot of airspace in here since I don't have the jar full. But also different ingredients also just allow more airspace than others. And there you have it. My jar is vacuum sealed. And then all I got to do is finish, put a little rubbing alcohol on there and finish cleaning off the ink from whatever I was using this lid for before, which looks like calendula, dried calendula. And then I still like to put the band on, just in case it does lose its seal, which with this method I find I've had very little problem with it losing its seal, unlike with the food saver. The only thing I've had lose its seal is some really, really dry powdery ingredients that I probably had too full anyway. But when you're vacuuming it, sometimes they'll kind of come up under the lid, and I think that's what causes that to happen. And my dates, because my dates want to ferment inside the jar even after it's sealed, and then the fermenting process pushes up against the lid and then breaks the seal. But other than that, this I expect will never lose its seal. But I need to let it cool off, finish cooling off before I do that. And besides, I'm still going to be putting more root in here later. Okay, so that's at least that's how I'm drying my marshmallow root. And again, I have a video out on all the medicinal purposes, properties. Well, not all of them, because I keep learning more great things about this. And I don't think I said this in the last video I did that I'm linking to up here about the health benefits of marshmallow root, but it's really good for your digestive system, which makes sense. It's very soothing to all the mucous membranes throughout the whole body. And so it's just really good for your stomach and any digestive issues it's going to help with. Again, very good for skin, helping with eczema and all kinds of stuff. So look into the marshmallow. I think by the time this video comes out, I should still have some marshmallow seed I saved from this last year. If you're interested in purchasing some. And, I think I should still have some because I did save quite a bit of seed. It just takes a while for me to make the pack. So if it's showing sold out, it just means I need to get busy and make some more packs, because I should have enough to get me through to the next season, when I collect more seed. But anyway, and just look into the benefits. It's a beautiful plant. I just love it. The leaves are edible. It can be used in salads, and just the list is endless. It's really probably my top favorite medicinal herb that I grow. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.